What happens in the brain after trauma to cause sensory sensitivity? Imagine your brain as a busy control center that constantly filters and interprets what your senses tell you. When trauma occurs, this control system can get out of sync, leading to heightened sensitivity to sounds, lights, textures, and other sensory inputs. This change is a core feature of post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD, and understanding what happens inside the brain can help explain why sensory experiences become overwhelming after trauma. After a traumatic event, several key brain regions undergo changes that make a person more reactive to sensory stimuli. The amygdala, which acts as the brain's alarm system, becomes hyperactive. Normally, it helps detect threats and triggers fear responses, but after trauma, it overreacts even to safe stimuli like a door slamming or a loud noise. This overactivity causes the brain to interpret harmless sensory cues as dangerous, leading to feelings of fear or panic. The hippocampus, which helps us remember past events and distinguish between what is real and what is memory, often shrinks in size and function after trauma. When the hippocampus is less effective, it struggles to put sensory stimuli into proper context. This means that neutral sights or sounds that resemble aspects of the traumatic event can be misinterpreted as threats, fueling feelings of danger even when there is none. The prefrontal cortex, responsible for making decisions, paying attention, and controlling emotions, also shows decreased activity after trauma. When this part of the brain is less active, it cannot effectively regulate the amygdala's heightened responses. This loss of control results in persistent hypervigilance, where the person is constantly on edge, and sensory inputs can trigger exaggerated reactions. Structural changes are also seen in the sensory processing areas of the brain, including parts of the temporal, parietal, and occipital lobes. These regions are involved in how we perceive and interpret sensory information. Studies have found that in PTSD, these areas often have reduced gray matter volume and cortical thickness, which can impair how sensory signals are integrated and filtered. As a result, sensory information may be processed more intensely or less accurately, contributing to feelings of overload. Functionally, trauma causes an imbalance between the brain's top-down and bottom-up processes. Under normal circumstances, the prefrontal cortex exerts control over sensory and emotional responses, helping us stay calm and focused. But after trauma, this control weakens, allowing bottom-up signals from the amygdala and sensory pathways to dominate. This shift makes individuals more reactive to sensory stimuli, often leading to startle responses or feeling overwhelmed in busy or noisy environments. Electrophysiological studies support this picture, showing that people with PTSD tend to have stronger brain responses to sensory changes. For example, they often exhibit increased mismatch negativity, an automatic response to unexpected sounds, and heightened theta wave activity, which is linked to heightened alertness. They also show stronger suppression of alpha waves after sensory deviations, indicating an involuntary focus on sensory stimuli and difficulty ignoring irrelevant inputs. Trauma can also disrupt how the brain integrates multiple sensory inputs and binds them together in time, which can cause perceptual disorganization or a feeling of disconnection from the body. The vestibular system, which helps us balance and orient ourselves in space, may also be affected, leading to either hyper or hyposensitivity to external stimuli. In summary, trauma causes both structural and functional brain changes that increase sensory sensitivity. The amygdala becomes hyperactive, the hippocampus and prefrontal cortex become less effective at regulating responses, and sensory processing regions are altered. These changes shift the brain toward a state where sensory stimuli are perceived more intensely and trigger stronger emotional and physical reactions. This explains why individuals with PTSD often experience hypervigilance, exaggerated startle responses, and sensory overload. Recognizing these mechanisms highlights the importance of therapies that focus on calming the nervous system and improving sensory regulation. If you or someone you know is experiencing these symptoms, consulting a healthcare professional can provide personalized support and effective treatment options.